Michelle,
Yes, good morning.
we're here in Charlotte. You're homeless. You're educated, smart, out here struggling. Tell me about it.
Well, I lost my job and my apartment within 2 weeks of each other, about 2 years ago. I had to make some quick decisions and had my daughter to stay with her godmother for what I thought was going to be about 60 days, at the most 90, and we are approaching 2 years. Um, I've lost everything that I owned in storage, um, and I have learned to navigate through the homeless process by just pulling on different skill sets that I've had or developed growing up. Outside of my academic education, there's just some things that you have to learn to maneuver and navigate when you find yourself on the street and having to adjust to that subculture. So
It is a subculture. And there's no homelessness for dummies book you can buy.
no, but I might write one.
That'll be actually a good thing.
And there are also a lot of prejudices and a lot of unfair treatment and a lot of microaggressions, as we say, and there's a lot of marginalization of the homeless because people think that we are invisible. We are not invisible, but if they treat us that way, then they don't have to see the problem. They don't have to recognize the problem for what it is, and that is a lack of affordable housing, a lack of interest to rehabilitate people and help people to find jobs and housing, even more importantly, clean clothes and a place to take a shower. We're out here next to a hotel who has never yet offered a shower when they're not fully booked, or a place to sleep when they're not fully booked, and they are a private establishment. It's their right to do so, but we are all humans and should be entitled to humane treatment from our counterparts, because we won't always be homeless and we weren't born like this, but we will always be human.
So you were talking about cultural sensitivity.
Yes.
And why is that important?
It's important because there are professionals and there's the working class people that look at the homeless as if we want to be this way, or that we have made this choice willingly and knowingly, and that's not the case. And the downward spiral that many experience when homelessness occurs, it is a systematic breakdown of everything that you know to be true, and you have to adjust to people in your society, people treating you differently because you might not have had a change of clothes for a few days or been able to have a bath for a few days, and there are no considerations and there's no mechanism in place to assist with that. And it needs to be so, and people need to be able to understand what this experience is. It's not fun. It's not fun to live in a tent when you don't have any bug spray.
Yeah.
Or you don't have a torch light, or you don't have a partner to watch your backs. Those people that are out here all the way by themselves have it even worse.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't get to sleep if there's no safe place to sleep.
Now, when we pulled up, I'm with an outreach team, and they were looking for somebody, and you told him they passed away. Or you told the outreach team your friend passed away. That's horrible.
It is. It is. He was the first person I met out here when I came out here to live, and he was my friend. And I know I loved him very much because this particular individual did not have an opportunity to bathe daily. He might sometimes have gone months without taking a bath. And to be willing to sit next to somebody and drink a beer that smells that bad, you gotta love him. And I was willing to do it any day because of who he was to me. My big brother, Red. My friend.
I'm so sorry. Hey guys. You have a master's degree.
I do.
And other education.
I do.
And you're out on the streets.
I am.
That totally shatters most stereotypes. You know, people think people out here are here because of their own choice and they're uneducated, and here you are with a master's degree and you're sleeping outside.
Well, that's because excuse me, I really think it's because of, you know, the politics of our state and our culture here in Charlotte, in North Carolina. If I had been paid commensurate to my credentials and my experience, I probably would not have been in a situation where I lost my apartment. I was working in mental health and I wasn't being paid correctly, and thus I was not able to make my rent. I fell behind and then worked for a nonprofit, not being paid appropriately. Lost my apartment. I'm a single mom.
So now your degree is in social work?
My bachelor's degree is in special education and elementary education with a concentration in developmental disabilities and mental retardation. My master's degree is in adult education and training, and I was en route to completing my second master's in clinical mental health therapy, and I have additionally completed 4 to 5 classes on doctorate level of human services administration.
Now, tell me what a day is like. You said you start off the morning flying a sign.
Well, you start off the morning looking for something to eat, and you might be able to get a hot dog or a soda from the gas station in the area. You know, depending on the weather, you might go fly a sign. You might see if there's any opportunities to make money on the street. You know, sometimes one of the establishments needs somebody to help with stocking or maybe cleaning up, but that's very rare. Sometimes people need help on the street with different types of transactions, and you can find a way to, you know, come up with another extra $20, $30 in your pocket if you're able to maneuver.
Everybody out here has a game, and you're always hustling.
Everybody
and it's survival.
Absolutely.
If you don't hustle, you're not going to make it.
Yeah. You eat what you kill, and if you don't kill, you don't eat.
Well, people think that homeless people want to be out here. They see us as lazy. They don't see every day you got to set up a tent, every day you got to walk for water. There's no days off, there's no vacation days. I mean, it's work.
Well, I used to be a state certified special educator. I've worked in mental health. I have worked in various public school systems. I've worked with at-risk youth. I've worked with marginalized populations. And I never expected to be on this side of homelessness. However, 1 or 2 bad paychecks can put anybody out here.
But survival every day is, people think we're lazy, And homeless people are not lazy.
When I fly a sign, I walk up and down that median so many times. There's just lazy is, it doesn't apply.
And
you know, and you're always hustling and you're always moving because the cops are always telling you you can't sit here or it's private property or you have to find someplace else to go and you have to find a way to stash your clothing if you do have a supply of clothing, as some of us don't. Sometimes you have to shoplift to get clean clothes if you can't wash them. Sometimes you have to
do things you don't want to do.
Do some things you don't want to do, but most of the time they're things you have to do just to be safe or to guarantee your survival or your meal for the day or your bed for the night. And that is just part of the subculture that so many professionals and everyday people don't even know really exists.
Would you say, because I know for me, it killed my spirit. I've done things when I was homeless that I'll never tell anybody. And it's going to stay with me the rest of my life. And every time I did something like that, it took a little piece away from my humanity.
And sometimes you have to step outside yourself and rationalize for what the bigger picture really is. And the bigger picture is that, you know, each and every one of us out here, I've never met such a beautiful and more intelligent group of people than my engagement with the homeless population and meeting folks and knowing their story a little bit and, you know, what goes on beyond the street, like in between their ears. Like, I've met people who are college professors, and I've met people who have trust funds waiting for them if they only make different choices for themselves. I've met people who've owned ski lodges in Aspen, you know, or people who come from money, or people who don't. But the point is that everyone that I've met is an individual. They're not homeless Jan and homeless Mary and homeless Bob. You know, they're people with a story and feelings and goals that might not have been met, but still had the ability to set goals for themselves. You know.
Now, you were talking about hospitals not helping people, turning people away. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
I've met some people who've had some serious medical issues, and their issues have not been able to be addressed because, reason given, they are homeless, and that's wrong. It should not happen in 2019 in the United States of America. You know, Obamacare, Medicare, whatever you want to call it, people need to care.
Yeah.
People care is what we need.
I like that.
You know, and
we need to call it people care.
People care, you know, and it's really sad that folks need medicine. Folks have, especially when you're homeless, you got a lot of stuff that goes on with your skin if you sleep outside, and, you know, people are not able to get their needs met or their issues addressed because of their station, their status, you know. And I've had to stop and think, you know, if this were a day when I had on my business suit and my very fancy pocketbook and shoes to match, would I be spoken to like this? Would I be treated this way? And the answer is no, I wouldn't. You know, and again, it's a much deeper seated prejudice than racism, and that what we experience as people of color or people of faith or people who don't speak English do. It is beyond that. It's pervasive, and it's deeply ingrained in our society at this point, and it's wrong. You know, homelessness is a temporary situation for some. For some,
Well, we should make it temporary for all.
For all,
Anybody,
exactly.
We should
But
prevent homelessness, and then.
However, yeah, there are those who choose to live this way, and we can't forget about those people either.
I think people give up. I think everybody that's come out here has tried to get help, and
that might be so.
It's called learned helplessness, which you understand because of your background.
And I agree with that, but I also think that there's some people that just no, I think they just like not having the responsibility. Yeah. And if you can accept that, and if you come to terms with that, that's one thing. I think that others get lost because they're not able to advocate for themselves, or they're not able to find the right avenues to get what they need. You know?
There is a small group of people that I call nomads.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
the wanderers. Yeah.
True homelessness is absence of choice.
Exactly.
Like, they can make a decision and go rent an apartment, but like somebody like you would love to go take a shower and have a safe place, but you don't have that choice. That's the difference between being a nomad and being homeless.
Absolutely.
Don't you agree?
I do. Yeah. I do.
What would you want housed people to know about homelessness that they probably don't know?
Don't take your laundry room for granted, or the roof over your head for granted. I remember hearing that Americans do not have a lot of savings. I can't quote the statistic, but overall we do not. We have more credit card debt than we do have savings. And in a recession, this can happen to anybody. It can happen to anybody.
And times are going to get tough again. So
it could happen.
If you had 3 wishes, what would they be?
Three wishes. One, to be financially stable and not homeless. That would be number 1 for sure. Number 2, if I could just change something in our society, you know, or develop a foundation or a nonprofit or an effective organization, not just in name, in action, you know, to be able to help people who have fallen through the cracks, you know, I would be glad to do that. And my 3rd wish would be to make my little girl proud of me.
Great.
To be able to, take this experience and help other people. You know, because I understood. I worked in transitional housing before, and I understand, you know, like the nature of homelessness and so on and so forth. But having lived it on this level, I'll never be the same.
Well, as we were talking earlier, and I was sharing a little bit about my background, you'll make it happen. I have faith in you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for talking to me.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening and recognizing me today.